We've got another great episode of the Relevant Recruiter Show. Today, I will be joined by Sarah Catlett. Sarah is the founder of Vantage Labs, a digital marketing firm focused exclusively on serving the recruiting industry. Sarah's been at it for nearly 7 years, working with executive search firms and recruiting companies, both as a recruiter as well as running operations of another marketing company. Sarah and her team recognize the importance of long-term marketing strategies focused on brand positioning and building relationships. I know we align with that one there. And ultimately, she is helping her clients by optimizing their email marketing efforts, LinkedIn automation, web development, SEO, optimization, design work, and anything and everything that has to do with marketing your recruiting business. Sarah, thank you for joining me today.
Hey, thank you for having me. Excited to be excited to be with you.
Heck yeah, coming out of Ohio today, right?
Yes, Central Ohio here, Columbus. So
awesome. What's going on in Ohio this weekend? Anything fun? Any fun plans with the family?
So good weather, thank goodness. Finally, probably I'm thinking about doing getting out and getting to the zoo with the little one. So
nice.
He'll enjoy that. He loves around here. We've got the Columbus Zoo just down the street, so easy and nice to get out there.
Very cool. Columbus, Ohio, then.
Yes,
down the street.
Columbus,
All right.
Yep.
So are you a Buckeye fan then?
Yes, I did not go to OSU. I can't say that I'm as there's all kinds here. I can't say I'm a diehard fan, but yes, definitely we catch the, come fall, catch the Buckeye games. So yeah.
There you go. That's a bucket list stadium for me. So I'll have to join you out there one of these days.
Yes, you should.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, cool. So those of you that are joining live, we're going to be, Sarah and I are going to be talking about her journey in the space today. We're going to talk about her company. And then we're going to be diving into some email marketing tips and tricks. So if you're excited for that, drop some likes, some comments, some love, give us a little algorithm juice if you could. And feel free to ask any questions as we dive in about Sarah's journey and anything about email marketing. So Sarah, let's start off. I mean, how did you get into the recruiting space?
Yeah. Well, kind of fell into it, much like many others. Quite a few years ago, nearly 7, was working as a personal trainer. A little backstory on myself, and synced up with a couple, worked for them as far as, training side, and got, knew them very well, kind of started to ask, okay, what do you guys do? What's going on? And they were our executive recruiters. So over time, just kind of piqued my interest. I was, figuring out again the ropes, and I recruited with them for a short stint, sitting in the recruiter seat. So, working as far as job orders, sourcing candidates, the initial vetting, submittals. And then shortly after that, again, I will say it was kind of a short stint where I sat in the recruiter seat, and then quickly moved over into the role of really running the back-end operations of a marketing company that they had formed. So that's kind of where everything, I started dipping my toes into the marketing space within this industry. We did email marketing exclusively. So, have had every part of that back end process, research, content, technology. So it was a great experience being able to see, okay, what is going well? What are we doing right? Where do we need to improve? And, looking at what's coming down the line, just because everything is constantly changing when it comes to technology and marketing.
Yeah.
So was really able to take all of that and pour it into Vantage Labs. So
Awesome. Sweet. So when did you, I know you were partnered with Travis beforehand.
Yes.
You kind of brought that into your own umbrella. When did you formally start Vantage Labs?
Vantage Labs was last summer.
Nice.
So summer of 2020.
Congratulations.
Yeah, right in the
almost 1 year, right in the middle of the pandemic.
Yes, we're so close. Yeah, right in the middle of the pandemic. But it's been good. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that's great to hear. So tell us a little bit, I kind of gave the introduction, but just on a high level, I mean, what is it, what are some of the services that you're offering to your clients?
Yeah. So, you definitely hit quite a few of them. Email marketing is huge. LinkedIn automation. Those are kind of the 2 core service offerings that we usually look at with our clients as far as an ongoing basis. And then we do we want to be able to partner with our clients, kind of be that one-stop shop. So we do web design work. We do a lot of design work when it comes to like brand collateral, PDFs, revamping some of those things. We do a lot of design work. SEO optimization, I will say we don't offer ongoing SEO services, but we more so take a look as a one-time optimization to make sure that everything is in line. We have done video work with our clients. So again, it really is any way that we want to partner up with our clients and really try to help them improve in any way that we can. So yeah.
Right. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. So, tell a little bit, what inspired you? I know you, kind of rolled in with your previous thing with Strikeforce, then you started Vantage Labs. I mean, what was your inspiration? Why did you, why are you doing this whole thing here?
Yeah. I kind of fell into this industry. And I don't see myself doing anything else. This has been something where I'm passionate about what I'm doing. Right. I think, I've met a lot of great people. And the big transition in looking at Vantage Labs, obviously, we have opened our scope of services and capabilities. And that was kind of going into this, I wanted to make sure, hey, we're not putting all of our eggs in one basket for our clients. Right. There's so much more to it, especially when bringing on a new client, having to address really some foundational things and making sure that, okay, your message is clear, it is cohesive across, if we're looking at LinkedIn, if we're looking at your website across multiple platforms. My thought was really, it shouldn't just be, hey, bring somebody in and immediately, start sending outreach via email. There's a lot more to it because people are going to, 2021, people are going to be checking you out. So things need to check out when they start to dig a little bit. So being able to kind of pull that over and really touch on all of those things with our clients versus, again, kind of just, hey, we're hitting email marketing and that's our only direction.
Right. Love it. Love it. Well, that's fantastic. And just a little backstory on how Sarah and I met. One of my clients, Ken, was actually working with Sarah and with some of his email. And he introduced us, about a year and a half ago, maybe.
A little while now. Yeah.
A couple of years back, but we really hit it off, and we definitely align in terms of how we like to market. The difference is Sarah's doing it for people. I'm helping people do it themselves. But everything that we, for the most part, we really align in our beliefs around marketing. We're going to dive in now around email marketing, because I know this is a huge thing on both sides of the coin when it comes to, sourcing as well as, doing new business development. So, when Sarah and I were planning the show, what we decided to do is just kind of walk through all of the basics and just, help you guys out in any way that we can to, make sure that you're getting the most out of your email marketing efforts. So starting with that, Sarah, when we're talking about, just the delivery of email and some of the technical stuff that we probably none of us really enjoy. Maybe some of us, but what are some of the important things, just on the basic setup of an email?
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot that I think can be overwhelming to people, especially wanting to do it on their own. Some of the basics and, really the first thing that I would urge anybody who is going to be starting, email a larger initiative rather than just, hey, we're doing onesie, twosie type stuff out of your CRM. But I would urge you all to purchase a separate domain for email marketing initiatives. There's a lot that goes into it, but just, making sure that you are keeping your sender reputations separate between your marketing initiatives and your day-to-day, transactional, whether you're communicating with current clients, those that you've had in your database that you've had communication with before. It is so important to keep those separate. Again, when you're thinking about, hey, we're going to start sending out larger numbers, a larger volume of emails. There's a lot that if you don't have a really good grip on it, that can kind of go awry on the marketing side. And the last thing that you want is for that to start affecting your day-to-day emails with clients and things starting to go to spam and you don't know why somebody's not getting that email. So yes, the big thing is going to be to purchase a separate domain. create an inbox. And when we do that for our clients, you're not going and just pulling, XYZ domain. You still want to keep that brand recognition, something similar to your primary domain, tweak it a little bit, and, utilize that for all of your marketing initiatives. So that
I love it.
the biggest, yes.
Yep. I've got DonnieGupton.com and DonnieGupton.net. There you go.
Yes. Yep.
That's the way to do it.
That's perfect. Exactly.
So, like, let's fast forward and kind of just if we're staying on this topic. I mean, is there anything that you found that, let's say somebody's kind of down the path already, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you found to kind of help with maybe a damaged reputation already?
So there are things, there are different tools that you can check into that will kind of let you give you insight into your reputation. So if your email is blacklisted, if there are things that you can check into to see, hey, what's going on? Why has my sender reputation, kind of gone towards the poor end of the spectrum? So there are things that you can do as far as, if you find out that you're on a blacklist, many times there will be, instructions that you can follow to reach out to and essentially remove you from the blacklist. Many times when you've gotten that far, if you find that you are landing in client spam boxes, it does take a lot of manual work. So essentially urging anybody, if you find out that you've gone to spam, to mark things as not spam. It can be a very tedious process, I will say that, but there are ways of, kind of improving. Obviously, if you feel that, if you've got a marketing plan in place and you're sending out emails, if you start to see these things happening where maybe again it's starting to affect your primary domain, stop what you're doing and find some time for a little bit of damage control. You don't want to just keep pushing out emails and pretending like it's not, nothing's happening.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. That's excellent feedback. And I know for those of you listening, this isn't probably the funnest part about the subject, but I think if you were to listen to both of us, it's probably, could be one of the most important parts of it, because look, if you're going to take the time to send the email and write it and do all of that stuff, or if you're going to be paying somebody to do it for you, the last thing you want to be doing is those things not delivering.
Right. You want to get in the inbox. So yeah,
absolutely.
It's important.
All right, cool. Now off with the boring stuff, onto the fun stuff. So, what are some tips that you have that are going to affect, outside of the technical we just talked about? What are some tips to, increasing the open rate?
Yeah. So outside of kind of the technical stuff, because that does play into it, obviously.
Yep.
If you don't have the technical stuff right and you're landing in spam or promotional tabs or whatnot, obviously that is going to affect the open rate. Subject line big time is going to affect the open rate. And then obviously to your reputation. So, as you send out these emails, if people start to, that brand recognition, that name recognition, if they know who you are, if they know that you're putting out valuable content, they're going to be more likely to open your email if they see your name in their inbox, versus, gosh, like here's Sarah again. I know exactly what she's going to be sending. I'm not interested, and delete before even opening it.
Right.
So, technical kind of things, yes, play into it. Your just reputation overall as you go along, and then subject lines is a big thing too that will affect open rates. Got it.
So let's dive into that whole reputation thing, because I think that's where multi-channel kind of comes into play. Is people think, well, I'm going to send my email, but they're not really realizing that some of those same people might be following them on LinkedIn. And creating content in both those avenues is going to help in a weird way. It does help in increase your open rates. Would you agree?
It does. Yeah. If, just that recognition, if somebody knows your name, if they see, obviously they're connected with you on LinkedIn, and they see you're showing up there, again, it's kind of that credibility recognition piece that, if you're going to show up in their inbox, they're more likely to open something from you than Joe Schmo, who they've never heard about,
Yep. Love it.
Definitely.
And we're going to pause on that one real quick. A question came in from Luis. Luis, what's going on, man? Says, when you mentioned to purchase a separate domain, do you mean a domain as in a website, or purchase a different email address?
So you're going to purchase a domain. You can, And essentially you would have, if so my, vantagelabs.io is the domain that we are at. And my email, my business email is sarah@vantagelabs.io. The website is attached to that as well, but you can purchase a domain without having, you don't have to set up a website at that domain. You would essentially purchase the domain, which is relatively cheap, and just create an email account at that, at that domain, and you're good to go.
Yep.
No need to worry about any type of, website attached.
Yeah. Easiest way to do that, Luis, is just sign up for a G Suite account with Google. You set it up, you get a new domain, you get a, get the whole thing if you're looking to do that on your own, or hire Sarah.
Do that. And then you can also make sure, if you are going to, just to kind of keep people funneled the way they should be, if you create a new domain that's going to be for your marketing, you can essentially on the back end forward. So if somebody gets an email from you at, whatever the new domain is, if they, put that into their browser, it'll route them directly to the website.
Beautiful. Love it. Yeah. Love it. So let's go back into the headline thing. So, I think that's, personally, I think that's probably the most important thing. I mean, in whether it's a email subject line or an article or a blog or a video, I mean, if we're not gaining people's attention, there's really no purpose of, getting them to open it, And so any tips on, creating great subject lines?
Yeah. So we take obviously you want it to be personal. We see that just as a trend across the board, that personalization is going to get higher open rates than not. So a lot of times we like to utilize the person's name. Our approach for it as well is kind of keeping it basic and trying to show up as if I were just shooting an email over to a colleague of mine, or so, you know what I mean? So not trying to overthink it and get super, cutesy and catchy with it. I mean, though, that can be great for certain things. But when we're trying to send an email as if it's, again, we're automating, but we want it to appear as if it's us that had sent it over. We want it to look as if I had just typed it out and what I would put in the subject line. So I want to, I try to use their first name. And again, not make it, don't overthink it. A lot of times too, we'll utilize the date. So I know when I send emails a lot, I'll, plug the date in and we utilize that and see, success with even, again, it doesn't look like a marketing email. We want to make it look as much, as it just came from you. Then we're sending this out to, thousands of people, and we're trying to come up with a catchy subject line, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think that's an excellent point. It's something that I, try to teach people to do, is like, I think we overwhelm ourselves when we start to think, oh, well, I'm writing this for the masses. Yes. And you actually have a lot more clarity, at least for my thing, is like, if I'm going to write this email to Sarah, how would I actually speak to Sarah? And instead of speaking to a bulk, having a bulk voice, I'm speaking directly to one person. And that's how I create a lot of my content. So I think that's excellent feedback, Sarah.
I think just, trying to keep it simple. Again, what would I type in that subject line? Quick, to get that out to somebody. We do, because we do a lot of segmentation too, for our clients. And so it's always a good idea when you're trying to do personalization, and you've got to, obviously you got to match it up with your message too. So you don't want your subject line to be deceiving. You want, things to make sense. So another way that we personalize is trying to plug in the industry or the, whatever that specialty area, whatever audience that those people fit into the subject line as well. So again, if you are reaching out to leaders in, XYZ industry, trying to pull that into the subject line as well.
Right. Yep. Another question kind of came in around the email, which was thoughts on warming up your email address first before using it for business.
Yes, please.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. No, that's exactly. Yeah. And kind of skipped over that, but you absolutely. If once you purchase a new domain, please do not go out and start using it right away and sending a ton of emails. You want to give it time. We actually, our typical warm up period is like 4 to 6 weeks. And we, manually warm up those domains. We, you want to start throttling emails as well. So 1, giving it time to warm up, and then 2, be strategic about when you first start to send emails,
Mhm.
if you think, okay, I've given it a few weeks, okay, I'm good to go, I'll just start firing off emails. No, you want to start little by little,
Yep.
increasing day by day until, you're getting up to a larger volume. So yes, that was a great question.
Yeah. Thank you, Kelly. That was a really good question. Yeah, make sure a good thing too is to make sure you're responding back. You want to get your email kind of to warm and making sure that people are responding. So sending it to your other email addresses is sending it to family and friends, but having them respond back, will really start to warm up that server too.
Yep. You can positive actions, if you can forward emails, if
Yep.
all of that is going to play into building up that positive sender reputation to get the domain ready to send from.
Yep. Excellent. So checking off the list, how do we grow it? How are we getting people on the list? What do you guys doing? What do you recommend for that?
Yeah. So I have a couple thoughts around this, and there's a few ways that you can go about it. Obviously, I think the thing, we hear a lot about, like lead generators or, gated forms on a website where, hey, you're offering, maybe you're offering some type of PDF or a download where they're required to enter in a name and an email address in order to get that content. There are those ways. Also, if you have a newsletter sign up or whatever type of sign up on your website where people are voluntarily, giving that information up, obviously that's a great, easy way to collect contacts and email. Don't be afraid to, we go out typically with new clients and we are researching, contacts. So we're sourcing those in the names and titles and companies and their email addresses. And there's a lot that goes into that because you want to make sure that the information is valid. You're not, pulling old emails and just things that are going to, that will damage your reputation. But we do, we go out and we source contacts. Obviously, you've got to be careful where you're located as far as, who you can email, who you can't. So that's a big, paying attention to spam laws and paying attention to who, what information you are gathering when you are not getting the permission, the opt-in through a lead generator or a newsletter sign up on your website.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Do you segment your list with your audience of like opt-in versus kind of the sourced emails? And do you notice any difference in terms of response? And, I think logically, obviously, if you have somebody who's signed in and opted in, you're going to have a better chance of a relationship there. But have you seen any difference or?
So there can be slight differences. I think more so when you first capture that information. So obviously your name is, again, if somebody signed up on your website, they took that action to plug in their information. They know, okay, I'm going to be looking for something from this company or from this person. What I will say though, over time, and I don't want people to, I think maybe some people have the notion that, hey, this person opted in, like I'm always going to land in the inbox.
Right.
No, you're not. The opt-in is essentially on your end, that permission to email that person. But if you don't keep their attention, every time you email, if you start, these email servers are real smart. And you continue to send, emails and those individuals are not opening, that content, that's going to play, eventually you'll end up in their spam folder. So be mindful of that. Just because somebody has opted in, okay, great, you've got their permission and you kind of, know that, hey, they're interested in this content. But if you don't keep them engaged over time and you don't keep them wanting to open your emails, it's not just an automatic, hey, they're going to be in my inbox because they opted in. It doesn't necessarily, as much as that, as nice as that would be, it doesn't work that way. So
yeah. What about, segmenting lists? I think the obvious thing for, recruiting company would, the obvious segmentation, if they can, is, separating clients versus candidates in some situations. Yes. But is there any further segmentation that you recommend?
Yeah. So, a big one, obviously, yes, client versus candidate, huge. Another one that we typically see is, these clients that they specialize in different industries. They're doing, IT, they're doing financial services. They've got, these different expertise areas. And that's a huge one. And it's really kind of, case by case with our clients to see, okay, do we need to segment out by function? Can we segment out by industry? How can we break out, these contacts to make sure that you've got this audience that you can really resonate with and really hit home with versus trying to speak to everybody. You're not going to have a ton of luck with that if you're trying to take that broad brush and hit everybody with the same message. So it's kind of like, sit back, look at your potential audiences. Could there be different segments that maybe fit into the same bucket that you could speak to and resonate with? But that's a big thing, is you just want to make sure that you should be tailoring your content around your audience. And if it starts to look like, okay, I'm going to send this message and it's not going to make sense to 50% of this list,
right?
It's not going to do any good. So yeah, we typically look at, industry, function. Those are the big areas that we look at first.
Excellent. That's phenomenal. Because I think that's the best point. And I was kind of leading you to that, is like, if you're trying to create a message for everybody, it won't hit home, and having those small lists. And I think that that's the best way. And like Sarah said, is if you're looking to set it up, is kind of forecasting, what are my audience, so I can kind of start to build these buckets right away if you're just getting started. So you don't have to go back and do cleanup. But then you can send, hey, here's 100 here, 1,000 here, whatever the numbers are, and create very specific messages for that, which will increase open response, etc. Kind of a little off the cuff. I mean, are you guys creating lead magnets for your clients at all? Is that a part of what you do?
So it can be a part of what we do. It kind of falls in line with the design aspect of things. And obviously we do a lot of, when we bring on a new client, there's a lot of like deep digging into their business, their audience. So it's not something that we've necessarily put out there as, as a service offering, but absolutely kind of falls into the different areas that we can work in. Yeah.
Anything that you've seen that's working on the lead magnet side or not? On our side, we see a lot of salary guides seem to be really effective, checklists and things like that. But is there anything else that you guys are seeing out there?
So I typically advise, again, depending on your audience and segmentation, to be as specific as possible. And so I like to recommend more industry specific things versus I know it's easy to go out there and pull kind of the top 10 tips for XYZ or kind of the broader topics, but the more that you can get specific and show that, hey, I am entrenched in what you are doing. You can look to me as the expert in this space. The more you can show that, the better it's going to be. And the more valuable it's going to be too, because if somebody's, they come across that form of, hey, give me this information, this valuable information, your email address, and I'll give you this. Well, it's got to be worth it. And so if they can go to, 10 other sites and get the same information, what's going to make them give you their email address versus, another company. So that's another area where you can really stand out and really try to dig deep in what is going to be of value to this individual or to this market. Is it a salary guide? Is it, different checklists? Is it, something that's going to draw attention to things that are going, and it can be ever changing, if you're going industry specific and you're talking about, just trends or some type of, article, that can work well also. Yep.
Excellent. Great feedback on that. And for those of you that are tuning in with us right now live, I am with Sarah Catlett. We are talking about email marketing tips and tricks, not trips, but tips and tricks. And we've got some great questions coming through. So keep them coming our way, guys. We really appreciate it. Yeah. And give us a little like. We're about to give us some likes, some loves, and drop some content below. Sarah's going to share her favorite content for email here in a minute. Another question came through, Sarah. Zishan, what's going on, buddy? What is considered a good open rate when running a campaign, and how can we improve it?
Yes, yes. So, and this can vary, a little bit as well, depending on the industry. Typically, and there's differences between, like B2B emails, B2C, when we're talking about cold email campaigns
Right.
versus warm. So there's a lot of room there.
Variable, yeah.
We like to see, really anything above like 20%, and I would even say over 25%. I know that I have talked to some people where, they're trying to do things on their own and they're getting like 6 to 10 to 12% open rate. And that eventually will start to affect deliverability. So, if you're constantly seeing these lower open rates what I'm specifically talking about here is cold email. So, if you're starting to see those low open rates, it's going to, over time, it will start to affect whether you're landing in the inbox of your recipients or going to spam. But I would say, yeah, we like to see 25, 30, 35% open rate for cold emails.
Awesome.
Yep.
Great feedback. Hopefully that answers your question there. And then Walter dropped a comment. He's loving this. He said he sent you a request on LinkedIn. He's interested in learning more. I've spoken with Walter. He's a great dude. You'll really enjoy him. So let's talk content.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So if we were to stay on kind of more of the marketing side and less on the cold emailing side first, what are you typically creating for your clients? What works, what doesn't?
Yeah. So we take the kind of the same approach, going back to what we talked about, subject lines, and, trying to, we want to appear, we're not sending out, monthly newsletters. We're not sending out pretty graphic, designed, formatted emails to these lists.
Hold on, stop. I'm cutting you off there.
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk about that one. I want to talk about that one because this one comes up and I'm going to cut you off before we get in there. So the newsletter style is something that a lot of people talk about, right? Can you, in your best words, because it's hard to kind of define, but some people are kind of, in my opinion, newsletter emailing is kind of old school. It's kind of corporate. It's kind of, so when you're talking about that, like, are you just talking about creating direct communication? Like, what does that look like? What is,
Yeah. So and when I say the newsletter, there can be a lot of tricky things with newsletters too. Again, it comes into kind of the technical end. If you're, yes, we like to think, and sometimes newsletters come through, but things are tightening up as far as, email servers, corporate servers go, and, images and link heavy, messages, they may not reach the inbox as well as they used to. So just kind of taking that, to start is just the formatting in general.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that newsletters, that they're not good. They don't, because they can have a purpose.
Of course,
especially if you have a large, a following of individuals that you send these newsletters out every month, every quarter. If you're getting good open rates, great. It's serving the purpose of that, again, showing up in their inbox, that brand, recognition, that brand awareness. We send emails more frequently than that. And so we can't show up as often for our audience in that format.
Right.
So that's why, the approach that we take, again, it's automated, but we try to make it look as one-to-one as possible. Plain text. We're not getting funny with, a bunch of, we've done images in email before when it's called for. We've, linked video and image when it's called for. But even looking at signature lines, making sure that you're not getting too crazy, because again, you have to pay attention to all those things when trying to make sure that you're laying in the inbox. Did that answer your question about the newsletter?
Yeah. No, I just think it's, I think it's interesting because I think when people think about email marketing, I think the first thing, based off a lot of conversations I have with people I work with, they think of a newsletter. Yeah. And they don't think of it like, again, there's nothing wrong with a newsletter, but if all you're doing is a newsletter, you're leaving a lot on the table, in my opinion. Right. Yes. And I think that, a newsletter to me seems like, hey, that's what's coming from a company. Mm-hmm. Where I think the more modern approach is where it's really communication, because, the idea with the list, in my opinion, is building a relationship with the list. Mm-hmm. Yep. People don't build relationships with newsletters as much as they do with the actual sender and kind of the more And I think it's also how it shows up. It looks like just I sent this from my inbox rather than I designed this through a newsletter format. So
and people kind of have that in their head that, oh, okay, X number of people along with me got this email. So
exactly.
Yeah.
No, that was awesome. I just wanted your thoughts on that. And that's great. So going back into the content before I cut you off.
No, that's okay. Yeah. So and again, the approach that we take is very much, and I think I've talked to you about this before, Donnie, is we want to kind of like wrap our arms around our clients' networks and just, hey, we've built out this database of, emails of these contacts that we want to stay in touch with. Let's keep them updated. It's not, we don't have the mindset of, hey, we're going to go at them every week and we want to be asking them for something and these strong call to actions and trying to get something out of every email. Again, it's more of that, hey, we want to stay in touch. We want to keep you updated. We're going to talk about, industry trends, what we're seeing, what we're hearing in the space, things that we're working on, as far as our clients, if there are, they want to share details as far as searches that they're engaged on, recent placements. There's many different directions that we can go with it. But the big thing too is just to make sure that you're varying the content. You're not always saying the same thing. Because again, if somebody starts to get these emails and it's like, okay, here's Sarah, she's saying the same thing, I know what she's going to say.
Right.
People aren't going to be as into opening the email to figure out. You want to kind of keep them guessing every week, and again, providing bits of value so that they are interested in staying in touch and engaging with those emails.
Right. Any specific subject buckets you're willing to kind of share?
You just mean as far as like actual styles of messaging?
Yeah, like content, like what should they talk about?
Yeah. So we see a lot of traction, and some people may already do this, or some people maybe they've done it in the past and they haven't had a lot of luck with it. I've heard that one too. But we do see a lot of traction. We see the most traction when we are putting details out as far as what our clients are working on. And when I say that, we kind of have buckets of, we do market candidates and it works well for our clients. And it may not always, I know that some people, they'll do like an MPC and they'll put out, a single candidate. We have done that. We have done little snippets of multiple candidates dropping into an email. We see a lot of traction with that. On the other end, again, kind of letting people know what you're working on. So if you're engaged on different searches and want to put out, we're not giving all the details in our emails. We're not giving names. We're not giving company names, but it's just enough to pique that person's interest and to show, okay, that's relevant. We've been looking for that type of individual for 4 months, and here this company is, and they just, filled this position for possibly a competitor of ours. So I think we try to dig into and send that type of information more so than kind of the surface level, hey, we know that, just letting them know, we know the industry and giving more of the surface level information when you can. And another thing too, is it's one thing to give stats and, kind of differentiators in that way. We've been in the business for X number of years. We have, X percentage success rate. And we all have those stats, and they look great on a website, and they look great. You can use them in different ways, and you can put them out in email sometimes too. It's one thing for somebody to see that, and then it's another thing to have that backed up with stories, personal experiences, leveraging conversations and showing, hey, yeah, we've got this success rate. And I'm not just going to say that, I'm actually going to tell you about, a search that we completed. So yeah, we do a lot of that as well.
How much would you say, because you kind of talked about the MPC, talked about kind of the relevant things, here's what I'm working on, which I think is, I agree with all of that. What are you doing in terms of like value, right? Like your tips and tricks and things like that you might be sending to your clients. Is that a part of your plan at all, or?
It is. So do you, as far as what our clients are sending out to?
What your clients are sending out, like, hey, here's 5 interviewing tips or something along those lines. Are you guys doing much on the value side of things with your emails?
We are, but it's a little bit it's more typically, and again, it depends on the client, but it's more industry specific or function specific. So rather than, sometimes there'd be some more like HR focused content, but most of the time it's, hey, this is, there's this kind of hot topic that's going on in the industry. We know that all of these organizations are, scrambling to XYZ because of what's going on in the industry, and kind of pulling content together there. So if there are bullet points that we can give to, if it is tips or things that our clients are seeing to kind of work around that will help our clients, we'll utilize that. So it's really, again, we try to get as specific as possible so that we really are resonating and showing the audience that, these guys know what they're talking about. We can look to them as far as, the go-to.
Yeah. Well, and I think it goes all the way back into, and we really didn't even touch on this much, but it's like, that's the importance of having a target market, is so that you actually can do that. If you're a generalist, this is where these things become really, really challenging, because you don't have an angle. You're not an industry, it's tough. Not to say that you don't have the value, but it's tough to communicate the value and have somebody hear it, because then you're just throwing yourself in a pool. Whereas if you're like software engineers, like you're saying, like, hey, here's what's happening in the software engineer world. Here's software engineers that we're, some new roles we have. Here's a candidate we have. Oh, here's a win we have. So I think that's the importance of having that niche, is, for all these communication things.
It is. And that's something that we talk to our clients about too, that even if you are a generalist, that's fine. Or if you look, you go to somebody's website and they've got, 5 or 7 different, like, hey, we work in these areas. Great. But when you look at email, you've got to break it out. You've got to make yourself niched in that space, even if you're not, exclusively focused on that area, for the purpose of email and reaching out and really hitting it off with those individuals. Yeah, you gotta find a way to segment that out.
Yep. Awesome. So the last thing that I think we wanted to cover was, and you've already kind of talked about it a little bit, but just getting specific around it. I mean, what do you recommend in terms of frequency? How often should people be doing this? Because I know, speaking with a lot of people, once a month to them is a lot, and once a month is leaving tons of dollars on the table. But that's my thought. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So, and I know it's hard, especially for people that are doing it on their own. It's like, not only do they have to like get the system running, but then it's being able to, maintain the list and have that content to go out. So I will say, for our clients, we send once a week to stay in touch. And again, we're able to do that because of the approach that we take and because of the content that we're putting out. We're not banging down their door every week talking about, how great we are and you need to work with us and schedule a meeting. It's more of, again, that kind of consultative approach, and we're showing up with different messages every week. So we can get away with that. I think for those watching that want to get started, and I'm sure once a week is completely overwhelming, bi-weekly, any, whatever you can start with. And even if you're doing once a month, where before you were doing nothing, great, good for you. Get started and try to increase that as much as you can. But even if you can do like a bi-weekly schedule where you're showing up to your audience with different content, that would be good as well.
Yeah.
It's hard to answer, because I know it's like, what, you tell somebody to go at it 4 times a week and they're like, well, how, I'm not gonna do it at all. But yeah, obviously the more it really is about timing. And I have so many examples from clients where people have responded back, and it truly is about timing. We had a client just this past week. It was the first email that had gone out to this particular individual. In his email response back said, timing is everything. We actually are, we have XYZ opening, and drew attention to that. We've also, had clients where they'll send out an email and somebody will respond back, hey, we don't have a need right now. Oh, maybe first quarter of next year, whatever. And we continue. It's, because our message changes every week, and we're not always sending the same message. And then for that particular client, it was like 3 or 4 weeks later, we sent, it was still, we had been sending each week, but we heard back from them. And it was just, it's like, if that pain is great enough on that day and they hear from you, and that same person who said, hey, we don't need a need, check back in X number of months, a few weeks later was responding, okay, what's your fee structure? And, wanting to get more information. So as consistent as you can be, as, that's going to be the thing, is just showing up. Consistency is huge. We also, adding to this, I know that drip campaigns are big, kind of putting somebody into a sequence. You send one email, if they don't respond, then you follow up with a second email, and it kind of continues for, however many steps you have. And we, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a drip campaign. You can, again, if you take that approach of, hey, we're staying in touch, we're updating, regardless of whether somebody opens, responds, whatever it is, you can continue to send emails to them. So just kind of maybe switching the mindset on that too. If you think, gosh, I have a list of 500 people, and once they pan through, X number of follow-ups, then we're just not going to contact them again. There can be a different approach there as well. Right.
I know one of the things that, you're kind of hit on the side of like, the actual execution, right? If you're going to execute on creating an email every week, running the technology, running the campaign, that's one side of the thing. But I know another side is that what, recruiters often think is going to be like piss off their market. So like, what would you say to somebody that's like, well, sounds good, Sarah, but my clients don't want to hear from me every week?
Yeah. There's always room to piss somebody off with email. So that's just something that you got to kind of, just know it's going to happen. But, and I will say we have tweaked, we do have a few clients that they feel very strongly that, hey, this is just, that's going to be too for our particular audience, for this industry. And we've scaled it back, and we've done, bi-weekly campaigns. I'll say the majority, we are running once a week, and we really don't. And I get a lot of people hear that when they first talk to me, and they're like, oh my God, once a week, what? But it works, we're not getting, again, you're always going to get the somebody, hey, they're having a bad day, and you're going to get those responses, which is fine. You honor their request. If they want to be unsubscribed, great. They have the option to opt out. And typically, especially when we're starting a new program with one of our clients, I tell our clients, what we typically see is within that first cycle of 4 emails, you're going to get more unsubscribes than positive responses, because when you're sending those emails out, it's just somebody's either going to want to network with you and stay in touch, or they're not. And so if they get an email from you right off the bat and they don't want to have any contact with you, they're going to opt out. But it's those that, they open the emails, and maybe it's not the right time after the first email, but they continue to open those emails. They see your name, and then weeks down the road, they know exactly who you are. Again, that pain might not be there. It might not be the right time for them to reach out, but they're hanging on. And again, you're getting in front of them every week. And so it's those individuals that we see kind of, they hang on, they're opening the emails. But it's important to pay attention to your audience, because that comes into play too for deliverability. If you get a bunch of pissed off people marking you as spam, it's not going to do you any good. So that's something to, pay attention to as well.
Got to be awareness, of course. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it was Dan Kennedy that said, if you haven't pissed somebody off by noon with your marketing, you're not doing it right. So I think it was him. I could be wrong, but
you get responses back, and it's just kind of like, you gotta roll with it. Somebody's always going to have a bad day, and you're going to end up, in their inbox, and they don't like it. But
well, I think that's, I actually personally, I like unsubscribes. It's like we've done each other both a favor, right?
Sure.
Like, I'm not going to work with everybody in this world.
Right.
Not everybody's going to like me, my style, my approach, who I am, what I teach, and all of that, And I think same thing. And if you really operate from a place of abundance and understand that there's always going to be more, and that I'm looking for an ideal client, an ideal audience, and unsubscribe, just awesome.
Right.
We're not going to work together.
It's going to keep your list clean, because if they don't unsubscribe and they just keep ignoring the emails, Yeah. And we've also, we always encourage because again, it's, we automate, our clients know when people are unsubscribing. But we tell our clients, hey, take action on those unsubscribes and let them, respond back and let them personally reach out and let them know, hey, we've received your request, you've been unsubscribed. And then we've had clients that have been able to spin that cup. Maybe they don't want to get your emails every week, but you can transition that relationship to LinkedIn. You can stay in touch that way. So we've gotten a lot of, feedback from just reaching out as, with a personal note. And you could even go a step further and do a quick little video for those unsubscribes. You get one last shot to make an impression and that one last touch point. And again, a lot of people, if they have, at the bottom of the email where they can opt out, it kind of, puts it in their head, okay, this is an email, an email list. But if they unsubscribe and then they get a personal note that's showing, oh gosh, there really was somebody behind these emails. They're a little bit more willing to, okay, maybe we'll continue this relationship. Again, they're not going to receive the emails, but you can push it to another platform.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Sarah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
This is fun.
Yeah. For those of you who are still listening, give Sarah a little love for all the value she dropped today. Thank you so much for your time, Sarah. How can everybody get in touch with you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, Sarah Catlett. Sarah at vantagelabs.io is my email if you want to reach me by email. And then, of course, vantagelabs.io if you want to check out our site. Reach out to me any which way you would like.
Awesome. Awesome. And if you could leave our audience with one final tip, we're in a hot market right now. I mean, what's one tip you can give everybody?
Yeah. Take action. Do it. I know a lot of people are like kind of paralyzed because they don't know how to do it. They're overwhelmed. Just like do it, get your feet wet. It may not be, perfect at first, but progress over perfection is something that I like to preach. So again, if you feel kind of paralyzed, oh, email's a good idea, but we just don't have the time to do it. I don't know how. Just, kick yourself in the butt and get out there and do it.
Yep. Love it. And I'll just echo what Sarah said. I mean, email's got to be a part of your plan. If it's not a fully part of your plan yet, reach out to Sarah. She can help you get it dialed in. Reach out to me. I can help you get it dialed in if you're looking to do it in-house. But email marketing is just something that's got to be a part of your plan moving forward. There's just too much money to be made by doing it effectively. So Sarah, thank you again for joining me on this wonderful Friday. Thank you for everybody who tuned in and listened. We will be back next week for another amazing interview. Everyone have a great, fantastic weekend. We'll see you then.